Continuing with the element ball project, students need a little bit more time. Charge of transition metals. So what we read about this yesterday in the book. What determines the charge of transition metals?
I can't remember, to be honest. Let me get a book.
Non-metals, very good. Yeah, if you remember, iron can be positive 2, positive 3. So can copper, so can zinc. So transition metals, they change based on the non-metals. And a good example of this would be like The Bachelor. The Bachelor show, he's kind of shown himself to be a transition metal because when you watch him in the presence of the different girls that he's deciding which one he wants to marry, he doesn't behave the same. And the whole purpose of the show is for you as the viewer to decide which one you think he's being the best provider. So you're like, oh, he's going to marry her. That's kind of the thinking, right? So, yeah, he never married. But you wouldn't want to pick like Lord Cleaver or somebody who basically gives the same to every person, because then you'd have no clue who he's interested in marrying if you treated every girl the same way, right? Nobody would have a clue. The show would be like confusing. They're like, this guy's strange because every single girl he treats the same way. But there are guys that are like that, though. They go out and they treat every single girl the same way.
I feel like that's how it's more supposed to be.
Yeah, it's called manners, I guess.
Yeah. Wait, the charge and the names?
Yeah.
Then magnesium, and this is boron?
No, bromine.
Can I look something up on your computer?
How does this go on? I'm so confused. I don't know.
You remember? Can anybody help Cody?
I don't know the name. It's magnesium and bromine. What would be the name?
Magnesium bromide?
Celsius is fine.
Actually,
What'd you say?
Is it magnesium bromide?
Bromide. Very good. Excellent. So write it out.
Two has to be on the bottom.
so it would be Li2. Oh,
And I'm pretty sure the two's at the end.
it's not the same exact. Change the number.
Is the two at the end, Mrs. Cheney?
Well, I'm going to let her do
Li2 at the bottom.
her attempt, and then when she's done, now you got to name it.
Lithium oxide.
Yes, that is correct. Good job. So you can see how we have two of the lithiums to balance the charge on the oxygen. It's really about balance.
And you have to make them cancel each other out. So if you have like a 2 plus charge, you have to have 2 negative charges to cancel it out. So you have 2 of the chlorine. Yeah.
So you can see there.
So you had to add a
Okay,
negative
Kelly,
one to
try.
cancel it out.
Two of these. Two. Excellent.
Did I
Nice
really
job.
do it right?
Yeah, it looks really good. So anybody have a question about that group? All right, let's do another one. Denominator. The common denominator here is going to be 6, right? So you're going to have.
No, that's what I actually did. I discussed it with you.
Does everybody see the common denominator is 6? This gives you a 6 negative and a 6 positive. Does anybody not see that?
Me? Oh, no, not.
No, you
I
see
saw
it.
Now, if you don't have a lot of time on a test to do this, you can do something called the Crisscross Method. That is, the charge becomes a subscript. So this goes here, and this goes here, so it ends up being Ca3P2. Now, there are some exceptions to this. Like if you had Ca and O2 negative, you're going to have to reduce that. If you crisscross this and you said Ca2O2, that's not right. It's going to be CaO. So keep that in mind. There's no one method that's foolproof. Nice job. See all those wonderful answers right there?
I got
Garrett.
I'm going to get joked on.
Hannah.
My friends are watching.
Excellent. Thank you.
and I made a dome.
Lauren.
He's got like
I made a dome.
And Joseph. Nice job. Nose down. Okay, continuing on from yesterday, we got the element ball. Chris Harper was the first one to get it correct. It's pretty cool. Chris Harper. Hello, you gonna get it? What determines the charge of the transition metal? Starts with an N. It's a type of metal.
Neutrons.
And non-metals. Very good, Nate. Good job. Yeah, do the second one. So the goal is to get balanced. You have your 2 positive, 2 negative. So do the LiO2. You change the oxygen. Is going to change its name from oxygen to oxide. Yeah, oxide. So all of your main group nonmetals, that would be the halogen group, the oxygen group, the nitrogen group.
So it's lithium. What was the
Oxide. So if you look here on the periodic table,
lithium oxide?
all of these in green are going to change their name to ide. So it's going to be sulfide, chloride, bromide, fluoride. You've heard fluoride before.
Yeah.
It's
Like
not
the substitute
fluorine,
base, right?
it's fluoride because it's bonded with calcium or sodium or some other metal. Determines the charge of the transition metals. Non-metals. So iron can have a positive 2 or a positive 3 based on the non-metal it comes in contact with. Now, you were watching the Bachelor show. The Bachelor is a transition metal. Like Ward Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver would not be a good person to put on the Bachelor because he's going to treat every woman the same, and he would call that like manners. But they don't typically do that in the show. They have a guy and they're trying to show you which one he's most interested in by his behavior as far as which is most attention he gives, right? That would be considered energy in our analogy here. Make sense? So, transition metals are controlled, that is their charge, based on the nonmetals. Very good. Carlos? No, just put the subscript lower. Right there, good job. And what's the name of that?
Magnesium.
Bromide, very good. Does everybody see the green in the periodic table? All of the elements in green, they're going to change their name to ide in contact with a metal. So if you're making an ionic compound like sodium chloride, calcium fluoride, magnesium oxide, that would be in the green here. All these in the green are going to change their name from the elemental name you find on the periodic table, like the periodic table over here. This periodic table is new because they officially changed the names like last year. They went to 117 as Tennessee. What do you think that's named after? Tennessee, yes, very good. And they got Moscovium. What do you think that's named after? Moscow, Russia. I love Russia. The metal name? So it's the L. Lithium.
I don't know how to say it.
O. Oxygen. Oxide. Say lithium.
Lithium.
Oxide. Very good. Makes sense? Lithium oxide? Yeah. So the only thing is changing here is the ide. Because it's a main group non-metal. So it's going to become oxide. You have KO. K has a 1 positive, O has a 2 negative. Right? So if you look over here with KO, that's we're trying to get to where it's 2 positive and 2 negative because we're looking for the values that'll be balanced. Make sense? So we're starting with K1 plus and O2 minus. So I have to do what to get 2 positive? I have to add another one. And then I get K2O. Make sense? So what we're trying to do is make sure you're recording what's on the board. So if you're go ahead and grade you. Oh, excellent, because you got a 3 and a 1. That's correct. This is correct. This is correct. Correct. Oh, wait a minute. MG. Yeah, you're right. Did you do CU? You skipped CU.
Huh?
Did you skip CU?
I did.
You did. But this is correct. This is correct. This is correct. This is correct. That's correct. And the last one is correct. Nice job, TT. Charge of transition metals. Gabe? Yes, the non-metal. Good job, Gabe. We talked yesterday about how...
You said ladies first.
Well, I waited. We talked yesterday about how the transition metals are determined, that is, their charge based on the non-metal. So like a real world relationship or analogy to that would be like The Bachelor. We talked about how The Bachelor, in that program, they try to show him as giving more attention to one of the girls that he might potentially marry. So The Bachelor really is showing a transition metal, not a main group metal, because the main group metal would be like Leave It to Beaver Ward, that's the guy who plays that, and he just treats all women the same, and he would call it manners, right? So he wouldn't be a good person to put on The Bachelor, because they would be confused. They would be like, we have no idea who this guy's going to pick to marry, because he treats all the women the same, right? When you have a 2 right here, and you have a 2 right here, you're not going to do PB2O2. It's not going to be PB2O2. It's going to simplify to PBO. So whoever did that, nice job.
I told him how to do it.
Jaden, the charge of transition metals. Kunik? Close. Ethan, what determines the charge of transition metals?
Isotopes.
No. Josh? No. Talked about yesterday. Kunik?
Oh my god!
No. The type of metal.
Nitrogen.
No. Non-metal. Very good. Closer to the bottom. Make sure when you put your subscript that it is at the bottom of the element. Or ion. Yes. Compound, that is. Now this is the exception. When you see a 2 positive and a 2 positive, you have to simplify it to where it's just MgO. It's just MgO. No. When you have, yeah, you do. That's right. Good job. Good job. See that. There you go.
We did that. That was
Probably 3
3
pieces.
P2. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that PB?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice shot.